the Magdalen Manuscript, the Alchemies of Horus, and the Sex Magic of Isis by Tom Kanyon and Judi Sion. Invocation of the Cosmic Mother. O Great Mother, Divine, Feminine, Birther of the Cosmos, Lover unto Spirit, Creatrix of all Mother and Queen of all worlds, within worlds and those without, we call you to us in this hour. We are your children. Hear our call. We are the daughters and sons of your divine union, the flesh of your passion for life. You, who lay with Spirit, our Father, in the beginning of time, and brought us forth from the blessed union of Spirit and Mother. We are your children, the sons and daughters of your flesh and your heart, and we remember your touch and the fragrance of your essence, and we long for you. Come to our hearts and gift us the remembering. Come to our minds and open our genius. Enlighten us with your presence. Draw back the veils that we might see, and hearken the doors to open, that beauty and ecstasy may live in our homes and hearts more fully. This is our hour of greatest need. We call you through fire and water, through earth and wind, through all that bears your name. We call all your lineages and all your names. Come unto us. Come into us. So be it. Judi Sion. Charm's introduction to the Magdalen Manuscript. Personally, I have tremendous challenges with this manuscript. For one, it is channeled, and I thought that I had left that kind of writing behind me after I finished the hardcore material. For me, channeling is a questionable activity. It reminds me of the same net people cast in the waterways of the Camargue in southern France, an area believed by many to be where Magdalene came ashore. Along the banks, large nets sit in the river. Occasionally, someone clanks a hoist and pulls the net out of the water to see what got caught. I think channeling is a lot like this. There are currents within our psyches. They carry a hodgepodge of things. Some of them interesting, some of them worthless, and some of them downright strange. Sometimes the channeling net catches something of unquestionable value, but often it is mixed in with a bunch of junk. My first experience with channeling was in the late 70s. A friend of mine happened to be a medical researcher at Duke University, and we conducted a series of informal experiments on the phenomenon. Since I worked with hypnosis in my psychotherapy practice, we decided to see what might emerge from hypnotic states in relation to channeled material. The very first evening, we made contact with an immense intelligence that we euphemistically called Big Dude. I have quite an irreverent streak, and anyone who knows me will attest to this. Big Dude spoke in a characteristically grand style typical of channeled entities or intelligences. It spoke about possible earth changes, and it spoke about the interconnectedness of the universe. While the transcripts of the talks were intriguing, both my friend and I agreed that there was nothing of real substance, and after 3 months of meeting once every 2 weeks or so, we dropped the experiment. As a psychotherapist working in the area of transpersonal psychology for many years, I have seen a lot of clients who channeled. Some of them were quite comfortable with it. Some were quite disturbed by it, like the woman in her late 40s who was awakened at 3 every morning for the last year. She would sit, pen in hand, and scribble out messages from the other side. The other side of what is the question? Her transcriptions talked about the power of love to heal. Sometimes they offered some decent solutions to problems. Sometimes, quite frankly, they said some very strange things. Strange is, of course, a relative term. What is strange to one person may seem quite reasonable to another. The cultural filters we use to sieve our experiences are often arbitrary and based on inherited nonsense. My task as a psychotherapist was to help my channeling clients make sense out of their transpersonal bubble. I use these words on purpose. The collective unconscious is filled with all sorts of things. The psychological entities that reside there are varied, like the characters in real life. Some of these denizens from the collective are brilliant and well-intentioned. Some of them are idiots masquerading as spiritual beings. There is a tremendous increase in channeling among both laypersons and professionals alike. I think it is just a sign that as a collective, we are beginning to gain access to our psychological and spiritual depth. Many people are having spiritual emergencies in which their views of the world are quickly and radically altered by peak spiritual experiences. I believe that we will be seeing even more of these psycho-spiritual crises over the next several decades as the new mythos within our collective mind begins to surface. Channeling within this context is nothing more than a message from the deep. But like the summer fishing holes of my youth, some of the things down there are not worth fishing for, but still they come to the surface of the mind, like an old shoe or a rusted beer can. One of the tasks for anyone faced with channeling is to separate the valuable from the inane, the uplifting from the dangerous. Just because the information is coming from the other side should not imbue it with any more authority than the words from someone down the street. In fact, when someone hands me something and tells me that it has been channeled, my guard goes up. And when a being from the other world shows up on my doorstep, so to speak, I look for logical inconsistencies. I lay traps. If they pass these tests, I am more likely to consider what they are telling me. But I am the final judge. If what they say does not make sense to me, I dismiss it. And so, in the midst of my immense resistance to the channeling phenomena, Magdalen showed up one night in Zurich, Switzerland. My partner Judi had asked me to see if I could get anything about the Magdalen, since we were shortly going to be in Saint Mary's de la Mer, the site where Magdalen supposedly landed after the crucifixion.